The dollar. It's in your wallet, fuels global commerce, gauges nations. But what if this ubiquitous symbol, this bedrock of our financial world, never existed? A world without its iconic currency. And let's find the answer to the question, what if? In early America, without a unified dollar, economic foundations would be deeply fractured. Post-revolutionary instability would surge, with each state or major city issuing unique scrip land notes or commodity-backed promises, creating a bewildering patchwork of competing values that would thoroughly confuse and impede interstate trade. Commerce between states would largely revert to primitive barter or rely on foreign coinage, British pounds, Spanish reals, stifling domestic growth and reinforcing colonial dependencies. Crucially, the absence of a common economic language would profoundly impede nation building. Funding a central government, a standing army, or vital infrastructure would demand complex currency conversions for every transaction, paid in disparate regional notes. This economic disunity would perpetually challenge national cohesion. In a world without the dollar, nature abhors a vacuum, and alternative measures of value would quickly ascend. Precious metals like gold and silver, already universal, would become the undisputed champions. Transactions, especially larger ones, would be settled in precise weights of these commodities, making commerce cumbersome and less liquid. Simultaneously, powerful regional currencies would likely emerge, perhaps a New York pound or a Californian gold certificate, each dominating its local economy but facing significant hurdles for broader nationwide acceptance. Furthermore, it's highly probable that a strong foreign currency, such as the British pound sterling, would become the de facto standard for international trade originating from the American continent, effectively tying its economic destiny and independence to a European power's stability. This complex, fragmented system would ultimately define the new financial landscape. Without the dollar, the nascent nation that would have been the United States would never enjoy the exorbitant privilege of issuing the world's primary reserve currency. This absence means its government couldn't borrow as easily or wield significant global financial leverage, fundamentally altering its geopolitical standing and influence on the world stage. Instead of dollar dominance, the global financial landscape would likely be characterized by a multipolar currency competition. We might see a strengthened British pound sterling, an earlier dominant continental European currency akin to a euro, or even a robust commodity-backed global standard vying for power. This competition would create a more volatile yet distributed financial power structure. Consequently, global trade routes and economic blocks would reconfigure along different lines, driven by shared currency standards or major commodity producers, redrawing the map of economic influence and fostering alternative international alliances. The business of money would operate in a fundamentally different landscape. Financial institutions would be far more localized, grappling with a mosaic of regional currencies or commodity receipts. Interregional banking would become a labyrinth of exchange houses and inflated transaction costs, severely stifling the free flow of capital across states. Without a stable national currency to build upon, investment would pivot heavily towards tangible assets, land, property, and precious metals, over financial instruments, significantly hindering the growth of sophisticated stock markets and innovation in financial products. Governments, in turn, would face immense hurdles funding national initiatives, war efforts, or infrastructure projects, forced to rely on direct taxation in kind, issuing bonds denominated in gold or silver, or navigating a constant negotiation of disparate state-issued notes, severely limiting their capacity for large-scale action and economic intervention. For the average citizen, daily life would involve a constant mental gymnastics routine. Imagine buying groceries from a neighboring town, only to find they only accept New York pounds, while your wages are paid in Pennsylvanian scrip. Every purchase, every trip would necessitate figuring out complex exchange rates or dealing with different accepted commodities. This financial patchwork would inject a pervasive sense of uncertainty into every aspect of life. Your wages, hard-earned savings, and even the price of a loaf of bread would constantly fluctuate, tied to the perceived stability of a local note or the current market value of gold. This unpredictable environment would foster extreme frugality, where saving might feel like a gamble, or rapid consumption to avoid devaluation. Without a national currency, the central government's hands would be tied, severely limiting its ability to manage inflation, stimulate growth, or cushion economic crises. Its diminished power to enforce policy would lead to more localized economic booms and busts, making consistent nationwide prosperity an elusive dream. The dollar's absence would have fragmented economies, complicated trade, and reshaped global power. In your opinion, what if the dollar never existed? Share your thoughts in the comments.